You can only be white in America. In Europe, you are either French, German, Italian, or English. And if you were British under someone like King James, that meant that you were Irish, French, or English. But then something happened. King James gave his people the Bible, and with it, he gave them one common language, that being English. And suddenly, even the lowest British peasant realized that he could do better for himself if he became a pilgrim. So, when these peasants couldn't get crops in England, they became pioneers selling places like Plymouth and Jamestown in honor of the king who gave them their Bible. But being Irish, French, and English wasn't enough for these pioneers with their Bibles. They had to become masters and Christians, literally little Christ. And they all spoke one language, English. But the little Christ had one problem: the Native American, which isn't even a real term. They weren't Native Americans, and they damn sure weren't Indians. Nope, they were Algonquin, they were Apache, they were Applegate, Creek, Cherokee, Laguna, Wichita, to name but a few. But the Native American wasn't a Christian. And because he didn't believe in land ownership the same way that the European did, the European thought he had died and gone to heaven. No, literally. I mean, he literally thought he had died and gone to heaven when he stole the Native Americans' land for pennies. And this is why North America became known as the New World, as they plundered the land and sent the native man packing with blankets deliberately infected with smallpox. Then he turned, or the little Christ turned his attention towards Africa and took the African man, who was yet another tribal people. And that was where he made his first mistake. Because while the European was playing Christ with his guns and his Bibles and his lynchings and his plantations, I don't think Christ was playing at all when he said, "For with whatever judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with whatever measure ye use, shall be measured to you." So what happened? I'll tell you what happened. The enslaved African ended up becoming a better Christian than the European. This is most adequately evidenced by the civil rights movement under the leadership of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This was a little Christ, or a Christian man, who didn't believe in segregation, didn't believe in war, didn't believe in violence. This was a Christian man who even practiced forgiveness and love for his own enemies.
Christian man who knew how to kick it with ladies.
I'm sorry, what was that, Scott? Oh. Did you have something to say?
Well, I'm just saying that Dr. Martin Luther King isn't all he's cracked up to be. I mean, I heard that he cheated on his wife. Some say with multiple women multiple times. What kind of Christian is that?
Name another American citizen with a national holiday.
What does that have to do with anything?
Christopher Columbus?
Christopher Columbus wasn't an American. You can't name another American citizen with a national holiday because there isn't one. No general, no president, no congressman. And do you know why? Because Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. believed in the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution more than any other American to this date.
I don't know how you can say that, Professor Brewster. Oh wait, you're not a professor yet. What should we call you? Duquesne? Or how about Duke?
I didn't say that. Your country did. And it continues to say that every time it celebrates Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday as a holiday. Was he an adulterer? Yes. Or at the very least, the evidence seems to suggest so. But now let me ask you all a question. How many of you in this classroom are virgins?
What?
It's a personal question, I know. Let me assume, though, that the current data doesn't suggest this. Let's say that half of you are. Now let me ask another question. How many of you are Christians, or at the very least were raised to be so? Okay. So then, like Dr. King, many of us are adulterers, or, to use the language of the King James Bible, fornicators. I'll include myself in this, since I most certainly wasn't a virgin when I married my wife. So tell me, since most of us are sexual deviants according to the King James Bible, what's the difference between you and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.?
Mr. Brewster, how's your semester treating you?
Well, fairly usual for the most part, Dr. Pope.
Uh-oh. Fairly usual. Seems I opened a proverbial can of worms. You're not quitting on us, are you?
No. It's nothing like that.
Good, because you're doing so well.
No, it's just that I have this student. The student has come to 3 classes the entire semester, 2 of which he came too late. There were 12 writing assignments due the entire semester. He didn't do one of them. But then, all of a sudden, at the end of term, I get this note from him, essentially pleading with me to give him a C or C minus, or else he won't be able to graduate.
Well, your situation seems pretty cut and dry. Student didn't come to class, didn't do the work, you fail them. You know, I've seen your records, Duquesne. You've failed students before. Maybe not as many as your colleagues have, but nonetheless, and plus, even if you gave this student a D functionally, it's the same as an F. You know as well as I do you can't pass that composition course at this university. Not anything better than a C minus.
What if I told you that the student was Terry Brooks?
The basketball player.
Yes.
I apologize, Mr. Brewster. I may have spoken out of turn. I rushed to a flippant judgment prior to getting all the information, and we all know how important research and evidence is in situations like this. Let's take it from the top. Mr. Brewster, how's your semester going?